Welcome to Quick Craft Tips with Donna Salazar. I'm going to be sharing techniques that I used on these mixed media tags using some of the new product from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. I am going to prep the tag by using my Mixed Media Inks CHOX and some of my older stamps. And the first color that I used was Driftwood. I stamped the images and now I'm going to ink the edges. And now I'm going to ink the edges with SPARROW, which is just a little bit darker brown. And now I'm going to use my new 3D foam swirls from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. I adhered them to thin pieces of acrylic, and then I rubbed clear gesso over the sticky part of the foam adhesive until it wasn't sticky anymore, and I let it dry. Then it was able to accept ink on them and they wouldn't stick to each other. I am now using my Mixed Media Inks in Jasmine to stamp the swirls around the tag. And this is another new product from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. These are the new pigment powders. We didn't get all fancy with the names or the colors. The two colors I'm using here are blue and brown. And I'm using a really soft, fluffy paintbrush to kind of pat the pigment onto the mixed media inks. Now, I'm known for girly grunge projects, so leaving this as is would be kind of girly for me at this point, so I have to add an extra little element of grunge. I'm adding in some brown to the blue, because I like to mix the blue and the brown together. And then I'm actually going to make it even more grungy. I'm going to use my Smooch Spritz, and I'm using the caramel latte color with water. Now, this is going to make it drip, and I like the drip, and I like the imperfectness, but if you don't like that look, you don't have to do that. So you can see it's making the pigment and the Smooch Spritz kind of drip down. But again, that's a step you can skip right over if you don't like to have the grunginess in there. And I'm just going to dry it completely because I'm going to be adding some adhesives to it, so I want to make sure they'll be able to stick. These are my new 3D foam keys, also by Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. I'm going to add some embossing powder to them, so I am removing all of the excess foam. And now I'll take the tops off. And you can add embossing powder onto these, you can heat them, and they are very sturdy. They will stand up to it. Now I'm going to add my Mixed Media Inks embossing powder in leather. And my version of leather has a little bit of a shiny metallic look to it because I am a child of the 80s, and yes, our leather was shiny and metallic back in my day. Now I want you to notice most of the video has been sped up at least 2 to 4 times faster. This, however, is in normal speed. I wanted to do it in normal speed so that you could see how fast embossing powder sets on the foam shapes. It is really exciting to me, and I think it's because there's no fluid for your heat tool to have to dry and then for the embossing powder to be able to melt at that point. It's just stuck to the dry adhesive, and so it goes a lot faster. So that's something really fun for you to try if you haven't already tried that. Now I'm just going to adhere the embossed shapes onto the tag. And now I'm going to add some of my new denim ribbon, also a non-adhesive product from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L. And I'm just going to tie it in a little knot. But you'll notice on the back of the ribbon there's a seam. So you are going to want to just kind of twist that like you saw me do there, and then pull so that that seam doesn't show and it looks nice and pretty on the front. And this is the finished tag. I hope that you enjoyed the techniques that I showed you today. And if you would like to stay in contact with me, here are several of the different places where you can find me.